We needed one more to have a quorum.
Yeah.
So
Is Shirley coming online though?
No. She's
That
not
would
able
count
to,
in
att-
like,
yeah, she's not able to attend. She did send me an email with some, information in it to
Good.
share.
Good.
And there's copies of, draft minutes and the agenda over there, David. if you need it. Yeah, so, the first item would be approval of January 4th minutes.
my best. It's complete.
Any changes or?
Koberger is spelled URG. That's a big
I'm
deal.
sorry.
That's okay. You know, there's no way to know unless you see it written.
Which I probably have, but didn't remember.
It's 50/50.
Given what
Yeah.
they do to my name, it's.
Yeah. Half the people with Berger on their name have one way and the other.
Okay. So
URG.
move to approve with those, with that spelling correction.
Okay,
Second, anybody want a second?
I'll second it.
So minutes approved with just the change in Penny's spelling of the last name. And then, the next item is the financial update, but Shirley is not here to do that. She did send me an email, and said no revenue to report since October 23rd, 2023. And expenses thus far, on January 1st, 2024 to Pathways Engineering for $7,595. And then also on the first,
How much was that again?
$7,595.
Okay.
And then another payout to Pathways on the first for $6,747.
On the same day,
Yeah,
6,370.
6,747.
Okay, I'm not doing
I
very
can
well.
give you this.
That's okay, I got it. But don't have
I
any
can give you
paper.
a little bit of one. Not a lot, but if you remember in the past, there was some discrepancy between Doug's numbers and the trustees and what Elisa had, and boil it down really easy. What had happened is during the Northern Borders grant, the town never took any withdrawals from the money, so the trustees are showing a lot more money because it's there than what should be there. It looks like there should be a withdrawal of 95,388 cents. I'm gonna have Elisa go back through the expenditures, go through the grant file, work with the trustees to make sure that's.
So pending confirmation.
And then what I told her I wanna do is run this like we do a lot of our other trust funds, where at the end of every year, no matter what's been spent out of the grant or what, we settle that up, so we have everybody's on the same playing field, and then we have revenue and expenses for the year, and we settle up, and it may make something in the future where, oh, we took too much money and grant money needs to go back or something, but we'll do that. And
You said that was 95,000, how much?
as of right now, it looks like it's 95,380.08.
That's pending confirmation.
We have the backup from that, but it's really we spent, you don't have to write all the numbers down if you don't. $272,034.16 on the pavilion project. Northern Borders reimbursed us $135,371, so it was overspent slightly, like $1,200 of our 50%. And then we had taken one draw of $41,256.08. So when you take that $136,636 minus the $41,256, it comes down to that 95,380.08, which could be coming back to the town, which.
So that's
not a
what's
bad thing
left.
either. That's not what's left.
That's what he's used.
As of Elisa's spreadsheet, she has what she believes is available to spend, and we're gonna double check the big numbers. I think it's gonna be somewhere between the two of them. But, I think she's at 142, 486, 53, but don't quote me on that, because her spreadsheet's a little confusing to me, but I'll let her work with Rob, make sure we take the withdrawal we have, and then we'll get you guys, here's what we have.
Can you go over that with Shirley?
I can, I've talked to Shirley and, you know, part of the problem, I wanna say problem, is when we have books being kept in multiple different places, the numbers don't jive. So I'm gonna work with Shirley. We're gonna get these spreadsheets. We'll sit down and talk with her. And then we'll just create financial reports on a monthly basis so you guys can see what's happening.
I would just for the minutes, we'll just ask you and Shirley to get together and then report at the next meeting.
Yep, we'll continue doing some sort of financial report every month. I can't guarantee this will be done by next month because we're deep in the throes of town meeting work and it won't be town meeting by next month, but
It will be just after.
It'll be just before.
Just right, yeah,
Even worse.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I said. It may not be next meeting, but by the meeting after, we should have some sort of.
But as long as the process is there, that's what I.
Yeah, I want to make sure we know what we have going into the front day.
Yeah, exactly.
So moving on to town manager report.
So, yes, good news, bad news. Is how we'll do this, but I guess bad news first is we have not applied for the shoreline permit yet. Good news is I got a call from the engineer today. We're making a couple little final tweaks and he said, like, I was almost expecting it today. Within the next day or two, we should have a shoreline permit for me to sign and they'll get into DES. I also talked to him today and he's gonna be putting together scope of work for me, which is what I need to slide into an RFP. So we'll RFP at the same time. Just about, we'll get it out and hopefully have contractors chomping at the bit, waiting for that shoreline permit to come back and we can get started. The only thing we had to tweak today was when they got back the plans from Mike Burns and what they've been surveying and doing things, we were at 20.3% impervious surface and we need to be 20% or lower.
20.3 is.
So not anymore. We made a couple little tweaks and we're now below 20 and we can submit without having to do a bunch of extra work. So
Excellent.
really what I think we ended up doing, we talked about a few things. There was the bump out for the porta potty and the bump out for the ramp to the lake. I said, we need both of those. We can't get rid of them or anything, but you know, if the one to the boat ramp is the same size as the boat ramp and not bigger, we're good. If the porta potty will fit an ADA compatible porta potty, we're good. So if you can shrink that, I don't think they're gonna end up doing either of those. What they did have is on the trail, the loop trail, they had a trail on the far side going up to the rail trail.
Yeah.
A trail on the far side going down to the boat ramp, like the kayaks in the corner. And we said, if we need to, just lop those off, make the loop. And that gets rid of impervious surface and we know people will walk down to where the kayaks are.
I wasn't sure we should have an impervious surface for the last 50 feet anyway.
Yeah,
I was
don't
wondering
think so
about that.
either. So
So
I think that's what they're gonna do and we'll be good.
I think, and I don't think we should even be mowing it. I was looking at, for some reason I hadn't even noticed it before as far as that there was anything down there. And I think if we plant sedge instead of grass, sedge won't grow but 6 inches, I forget, depending on the type. And it'll be a walkable area.
Yeah,
And
I
we could go
almost
through
say we
once a
don't
year.
even worry about it. We just build the trail here and if it's grass, people will walk through it. That's, if they walk a trail in there, that's not considered impervious and that's not us building something, so. As long as it doesn't start eroding really bad or something, then we don't have to.
Well, that's why you might need to plant some sedge, but that's nothing. I mean, you can get seed. It's like planting grass, only it's not grassy. You don't have to mow.
So anyway, through our discussion today, they wrote back and said, we're good. Let's put the final details together and we'll get this into the state. So we are right at that cusp of getting it in. I think we're still okay on time frame, especially if we get the bids out soon, because most of the summer work gets bid around February, March. So we're still in the time frames of getting things done. I do think we have a couple people waiting for this RFP to come out. So it's already on their radar that this project's out there. And
Is Mike Burns eligible for it, given the fact that he did the engineering?
I believe he's eligible as long as we keep him at arm's distance, just like we did with the MPAC. You know, he did the planning, he didn't do the engineering. But he did work with the engineers to say, these are the types of plants I designed those things, but he didn't like go in
Okay.
and say, this is how.
I imagine he's one of them, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think he.
And he'd be a good one, given our past experience.
You know, we did the same thing with the MPAC with Defiance Electric. They were on our board, but I told the contractors, keep them at arm's length. Don't let them really design what our RFP is gonna say. But they had a little bit of knowledge, but not anything that we couldn't share with anybody else.
And so the, RFPs will go out before we have the permit.
Yeah, I'm planning on getting those out pretty soon.
Okay.
Hopefully those are going out on or around the time of our next meeting.
Now, are we supposed to see that before it goes out? Or is that, we don't get to see it? It's going to be a surprise?
Well, it's not a surprise. We put forward the project and layout that you guys approved last spring. I mean, we're really in building mode.
Okay.
It's not planning mode anymore. We're well past that. There's not any changes to be made.
Okay.
I was talking with Patty, the plants, the trees, all those things have to be on the shoreline permit before you can put it in.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, we're
Those are
beyond
there.
the point of minor changes. This happens, and then if there are gonna be changes down the road,
Yeah.
those are dealt with.
the only changes that were made were little things like this, that, oh, the trail on the map, we know it doesn't on land, but on the map, it technically went inside the wetland perimeter. So it's like, pull it back 2 feet. So we're not in the wetland perimeter. And I mean, we didn't mow it into the wetland perimeter. You can see where he marked it. So it was just a mapping thing where things overlapped and, you know, oh, let's cut that trail a little shorter because we went over our percentage we're allowed to have. And it's just little tweaks and
Small.
changes like that.
Yeah. So just to confirm though, if we wanted to change out some of the plant choices, would we be able to do that at some point?
We'll have to look at it and talk to DES and see what's actually approved on the permit or not, but
Okay.
more than likely, if we do, it's gonna be a small, easy permit change, not a.
Yeah, because I mean,
Yeah, we hadn't really talked about specific plants before. We saw what he was suggesting,
Yeah,
but really didn't have any time at that point to look at them, look at the choices, and we've been reading a lot about plants since then that
Yeah.
are good for the area, so.
But isn't
there
that
are
why we
some
hired Mike?
substitutions.
well,
yeah, that is
and
why
we
hired
didn't
Mike.
hire Mike.
No,
Mike
We
volunteered.
did, I mean,
We
but
recruited him. Yeah.
recruited him.
Yeah,
But we were
exactly.
told at every step that don't worry about what the plants are, you know, this is just, you know, to hold things in place where
Yeah,
plants
I
would go.
talked to Patty and we'll have to talk with DES, but I think the smaller perennial type
Yeah.
plants, I don't think is gonna be a big deal.
Yeah.
The Mirsky
But
Grove,
Trees and shrubs will probably be a bigger deal if you
But
try to.
the Mirsky Grove would be the big deal, probably.
Well,
Yeah, and I think what we do is say, there's a grove of trees here, that's what we're gonna do, because there are groves of trees on the plan.
Yeah.
So we'll just dedicate one of those to be that one.
I think that makes perfect
Yeah.
sense.
Mhm.
One of the places though, that, on his plan, he had apple trees around the, sitting area, whatever you want to call it. And apple trees require a lot more management than other choices we could be doing. And, you know, I just think it's an easy switch out, but I think we should think about there are a number of other options that would be easy peasy.
But
Let's get
as I
that.
understand, that may require changing the permitting, is that right?
Mine, yeah.
See, so just, I don't know, I think if we're using native plants, the right plants, I don't think that they would get into the nitty gritty of X versus Y.
I mean, it may be permitting by
I
notification.
think it will be, yeah.
But I think it does likely involve a process of at least that.
So is that a question we could confirm with them though? Like if we were to switch out just a shrub, say, for example, is that something? How can we confirm that, I guess, is the question, because one of the things Penny and I are doing is we're doing the research for the Native American component and some of those shrubs that are in the design. We would love to just incorporate that into the whole thing. So, so that means that we would be looking for things that are historically significant. And almost all of the native plants are historically significant. But, and on Mike's plan, there's maybe 5 perennials that are not native plants. Otherwise, he has used mostly native. So.
But there's some that are just, between management and just, anyway, there are a couple that I would switch out, but with native plants, so that I would think DES would be fine with it, because, and.
They probably will, but we gotta get this in and get it moving.
Yeah,
That's why I wondered if we should tell you now,
Yeah.
now that.
Well,
what
we're
they
way
are.
behind. These plans were supposed to be done over a year ago.
Yeah.
And we just kept kicking the can, and now we've got to get the permit in.
Yeah. And I think for the most part, this is fine. And also too, there might be some things we can't get, we're not able to get. So then in that case, we may.
I'm pretty sure it's not gonna be a big problem to switch out unless there's some major reason why they would
Yeah.
like that plan
Right.
instead of the other one, but.
Because all the plants we choose will be, there'll be native plants that will
They'll be-
help the area.
I actually think they'll be much easier for us to have, accept the, where we put them, they'll be happier than some of the choices, and.
But I also Mike is a professional and this is what he does. So to trust his process on it.
And I would say, get the permitting, and then if you wanna talk to him about some minor twitches
Yeah,
later.
we'll have time even
Yeah.
after we get it approved
Yeah.
to write them and
But-
say.
but
hey, can
don't
we
do
make
anything.
these changes?
Right.
This has to be ready to,
And I can ask the engineer
To go
about some of
as
that,
soon
but
as
there may
possible
be a
this
few
spring.
things they wanna switch out.
Yeah.
What's the process of that?
Just to be clear, when Ed does talk to the engineer, you're not talking about reducing the amount of vegetation, right? Because that would likely
Nope.
cause an issue.
We would never reduce it.
Okay.
We would just add more plants, which helps.
or add or substitute.
Yeah, add or substitute. And not even add, substitute, really.
Because
Because there's a
mainly
lot
the
of-
things we've looked at are just alternatives that we, for whatever reason, but a lot of it
I
has
don't
to
think
do
it'll
with.
be a big problem, but there will be a process and maybe a fee with the process.
So then we'll have to really think carefully about.
But for example, there are 2 sections of birches, and it makes sense to probably only have one, because birches are a much more short-lived plant, and if we're having woods, it makes sense as far as investment and cost that we put in things that are gonna last longer rather than shorter, or we're just gonna be replanting in 15 years. Which may seem long right now,
And it
but
will depend on, obviously, too, on what the budget is and what is available for
Yeah,
it.
plants may have to go in slower, but.
Right.
fine, that'd be fine.
All right, so landscape, go on to that then, or you're
Yeah.
good? Okay, so yeah, just that basically, just to kind of give you guys an update, so Penny and I have met with, 2 groups at, the Indigenous New Hampshire Collaborative Collective, and then we also met with the Strawberry Bank people, to talk to them about their, experience with the historical gardens. What we did was we sent them the list of plants that Grace Dubois and King had recommended. They have an excellent list in their report to the town. And we took that list and sent it to these 2 groups to look at to see if there were things that were significant that we might want to include. And some of those plants are in fact on Mike's plan as well, so that's good. So now we're just kind of waiting to hear back, right? So they're looking at the list and they'll give us their feedback. The other thing too is I'm just trying to make sure that we do have the history there at the park, that we're not creating a history. So we're just trying to make sure that that's accurate as well. That we know the history of the lake, and at the head of the lake, they found remnants of camps in the late 1800s, but nothing really that I'm aware of has been found over by Lakeside Park. But the river entrance is there, so the one group, the Indigenous Collaborative Collective, they have a story map that they've created. It's online and it includes spots where they do have history, but there's nothing in Enfield that's recorded.
Check with Meredith, because my understanding is that there were some significant archaeological findings which required the move of the
Yes.
There are, but.
Yeah,
so
but those were railroad. That was the,
I know it was rail, but there
Yeah.
was also indigenous.
so do we know that?
That's what my understanding was.
Because
From the
from what I understood was, when they found the archaeological area, they checked it and it was, railroad building. And, but that they didn't go on with any further archaeological study to see what else was there.
You didn't want to pay for it.
Right, so how do we know for sure, I guess is the thing. Actually, this is what we're trying to look to these groups to help us vet what we think might have happened there.
Okay.
Because we don't want to create we don't want to create stories that aren't necessarily facts, but we can highlight the native plants that we know were used. Maybe they weren't foraged at Lakeside Park, but those plants were used in general. So that's kind of where we're headed. And doing like signage with little anecdotes maybe about how the plant might have been used. So, yeah, so right now it's just trying to vet and confirm the information. And Dartmouth College is very hands-off. I think they have shame. It's really interesting. They have one book on woodland plants that they said we could have access to, and the department chair is super busy, not able to talk. And so when we talked with the Indigenous Collective, they basically told us that they work pretty exclusively with UNH, that Dartmouth is not very helpful at all with this. So it's interesting. I think it's the history. So I don't know exactly, but next meeting, I'm hoping we'll have the list, they'll have a chance to look over the list and we can come with that. That'll give us a starting point for knowing what plants to put in and how we wanna.
And you can check with Meredith and see what.
I actually have talked to her.
I think she has,
Yeah,
some knowledge anyway that she's spoken to me about indigenous.
yeah, I can talk
in that
with her.
area.
So David, Meredith did direct me to Marjorie Carr, the town
Marjorie would be good,
historian,
yeah.
who directed me to the book. And, so
Is that the one she wrote?
yeah, well, Nancy Sanborn, I think, wrote the book, The History.
I think it's Nancy.
Yeah, there's a
Large.
very small amount of Abenaki history in there, a little bit, and not a lot. And so, yeah, I just want to make sure, again, like we have facts. I don't know if we ever will have facts, but, so just trying to figure out how we can connect the history to the park is the piece.
I was gonna say, and if not, you can do a very similar thing if you wanna put some of that in there, that this is a technique they would have used in a place like this. You just don't have to say it happened here.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Mhm.
So, yeah, so that's what's happening with that piece. And then the other question we had was, so realizing that we probably will run out of money and we want to get plants. And so Penny and I have been talking about trying to find some grant sources for plants, but can you explain to us the process for that? Do we have to go before the select board to ask to apply for grants?
I would
What's the,
look for what you're gonna do, contact me, and
Okay.
I try to take grants in front of them, but you know, if it's, hey, we found this and it's due like now, then a lot of times I'll authorize putting in on the town's behalf. And then I still take it in front of them after the fact
Okay.
and let them know that we did this. And
okay,
I've had a few in the past, not here, but I've had a few in the past where we get awarded a grant, we take it to them and they're like, I don't know that we want to accept this. So it's always best to get that pre-approval if possible.
Okay,
But
okay.
sometimes I know grants pop in front of your face and it's due next week and we don't have a select board meeting in time.
Yeah. So,
But
okay,
plans will probably be pretty easy. I don't
Okay.
Expect a problem with those, so.
so we can do our research and then if we find them, I mean, I'm happy to do the applications as well. So it's just, and I think it would be for plants specifically. So, which would help with the cost.
When
But
we look at
plans
the,
will be easy for people to donate for. I
when
mean,
we
it's
look
really
at the
easy to say, yeah, I'll do
RFPs.
this garden or something like
Yeah.
that.
What was that, David?
I said, when we look at the RFPs and potential grants and all, do we even have a priority list of, the project, tasks that will be needed to accomplish, what's needed for the, handicapped access and stuff like that?
For my side, that's all being done by the engineers. That'll all be in the
Okay.
scope of work of what needs to be built. And
Okay,
when
And
that part of it gets done, everything will be done except for planting plans, I
what
think.
if there's not enough
Actually,
money?
some of that may be done. I was talking to
What I'm saying-
trees and shrubs and those things will be planted by the contractor.
What I'm saying is, what if there's not enough money to do it all? What happens then?
We'll get bids back and we'll figure it out. That's what I do every day.
Okay.
Prioritize.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
did have another question I thought of. My own, this is just me, but I don't see any point in picnic tables in the wood section. I'm fine with just a trail, plants and some kind of signage or, storyboard or whatever for, if we want to do some Native American education kind of thing. And benches, some benches. But I don't think we really need picnic area back there, but that's just me. So, and I know I've only seen the initial design, so I don't know what it looks like now. But did that stay in or?
That stayed in, and I would disagree. I think we
I would
do,
too.
because you get beat with sun sitting on the other ones, and it would be a wonderful place
Or
to go.
you just want a little bit more privacy than.
Yeah.
than
So
like-
you're gonna put the 6 picnic tables or whatever?
Put some picnic tables in there. I don't know that it'll necessarily be 6, but it might be 4, might be 6, might be 8,
Yeah.
who knows?
Yeah, okay.
But those are the things that'll get prioritized. If they fit into
Yeah.
building the now, then we put them in. If not, I mean,
If
what
not,
we
you can-
need to do is make sure that the
Handicap access.
handicap trail and the parking lot and all those are built.
Right.
And then whatever left, I mean,
Right.
the state's not gonna care if we don't put in some of the gardens and things we want to. That's not really part of the grant.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But if we can fit it in, they're probably not gonna say no either. They're part of building this whole thing out.
And benches and picnic tables and even trees can go on that wish list. If we have a wish list of people who maybe want to make a donation of something or a dedication to someone, that those items could be in there. Yeah.
And there's ways to do it. I mean, it's all strategy and there's times you just put the bid packets out and there's times you go, this is how much money we have. And a lot of times you'll get a bid back right at that amount or
Mhm.
something. And if it's feasible, they're not gonna do it if they're gonna lose money, but.
Yeah. And once we have a better idea of what the amount of money is that's available to use, that'll be helpful too. Just for figuring out how far we can go with that budget, so.
I did think of another question. If there are, if we know we're not gonna have plants for certain areas that on the design are designated as areas for perennials or shrubs or whatever, but we know we're not gonna have money to do it now, to put the plants in, they're not gonna prepare that area for plants, are they? Because then it's left open and exposed and we're gonna be at risk for invasive plants coming in when we have no ability to keep that from happening.
Probably not, but if they need to disturb it as they're putting the trail in, it'll be disturbed if they put the trail in.
And we might have to put something down,
We will have to do
Yeah,
something, but,
like,
right,
not like a mulch or something, just to kind
Yeah.
of keep the weeds at bay, yeah.
'Cause-
That's a common,
I I also
challenge.
think, like you said, if we knew that and we're going into this and we made a big push that we're looking for sponsors for certain types of gardens and
Yeah.
things, the money would probably come in time to make it happen.
Yeah.
I think there are advantages to things being staggered anyway, because we have no personnel really for, seeing that these things are watered, maintained, and, get their first year of establishment, which is always the tricky part. So if we've got trees coming in and shrubs coming in, we're gonna be working our tail off just keeping those happy.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with it being staggered. I'm just wondering what happens with the staggered parts.
Yeah. And that's something that landscaping professionals encounter often, the similar kind of a thing is, and how to keep things, how to balance it so that we can do it in stages. So yeah, and that's the only way we can do it really in stages, I think, for the final planting at the end. So next is anything from the infrastructure committee.
Nothing.
And then the next item then is the Mirsky Memorial. So, yeah, we had talked a little bit about potentially using some of the groves. So this is Mike Burns' plan, right, that he did. And I did talk with Meredith a little bit about this idea with rather than creating a new spot for a new grove, to try to use Mike's plan and pick one of these areas where he has groves of trees in. And this one here is the closest to the pavilion. And he has river birches there. He has 6 river birches. Meredith liked that. She thought that would be a nice location for it. It's in the plan, so we wouldn't be changing anything. Or these 4 red maples. Paul loved red maples. So those could be 2 potential spots.
Are those numbered or somehow?
Yeah, the first, the one. So
That's the red.
One,
do we need to do a motion to determine the spot for that, or how do we lock
If you guys
that in?
wanna do that now, you can,
Yeah,
or
why don't we wait and see what the final report is?
it's not a rush.
Oh.
well, okay, but yeah, I mean, the final report, I did talk to Mike about that too, and I mean, basically, he said that only with the slight change of the direction of the path that being moved a little bit, everything else was accepted as is, or can work as is, so, yeah, I think the good thing too about if we determine that that's the right spot, then also that gets paid for, those, that clump of trees is covered by the Mirsky, the money that they raised for the Mirsky Grove. So,
So, do you, in consultation with Meredith or others, have recommendations for one versus the other?
yeah, I actually would recommend spot number 1.
Okay,
I think both are fine.
Yeah,
I think
1 or 2.
it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
If Meredith thinks that's a better choice, I think.
Well, yeah, I mean, what this does is it enables us to not have do we want to do a motion that
I think we should wait until we get things through, like next meeting, we should do a motion that we'll start seeking or applying funding from the Mirsky. Right now, we don't have anything formal that's, in place. That's tentative, and I would not jump ahead quite yet.
Has money already been donated for the Mirsky?
The money's, but we also are sitting on, what, $150,000, $175,000 of grant money too, and donations for the rest of the park. It sort of jumping this ahead of everything else doesn't make a whole lot of sense
But
to
we
me.
wouldn't be jumping in ahead. I think all we'd be doing now is kind of place setting. This spot is reserved for the Mersky Grove. We wouldn't be doing it or.
Well, I know, oh, I know, but
Yeah.
but I'm saying that, you know, this is not quite finalized yet and submitted for permitting. Once it is, then doesn't matter to me whether you do one or two.
Okay.
But I think it's a
Do
little,
these maps have a site where the sign is going, the big sign? So we don't have something growing up and obliterating the sign.
Oh,
There's a access off the rail trail.
this is on the other side. So,
I mean, it's a big, big sign.
yeah, here's the rail trail, Ken, up here, right here.
Yep.
And here are the trees over here. The pavilion's right here.
Okay,
So
so,
these would be more towards the lakeside.
so I guess it would be in here, the sign, I think.
The sign for the Grove, the memorial sign?
No, this tells what's going on.
Oh, the yeah. I don't know exactly where we're gonna do the signs yet.
I mean, I don't think you can put it on railroad property.
No, this would be all the way over on the other side.
Yeah.
So, and the
You're
signs,
talking about a sign separate from the
Entrance,
platform,
the Mascoma Lakeside Park sign. Yeah, I think he's, yeah.
Just so
So,
we don't plant a tree in front of it.
yeah, right, no, and I mean, so this is why having a plan is important, because then it enables you to kind of, we've locked in spaces for things. I don't, when I talked to Mike, all of these trees and things are based on the engineering report are fine. The only thing they said we had to do was make a slight change in the bend, and also they didn't want the bridge over by the vernal pool, which is over here. They didn't want us to do that.
which would have cost us extra anyways,
Yes, and I think it was because of protecting protecting
vernal
the,
pond.
so, this is pretty, I would say, with the exception of shrubs and perennials, the spots are locked in for plants. Does that make sense? Like the actual plants might change, but the plan would stay pretty much the same.
Where's the key that would tell you this as
Yeah,
opposed to that?
It's tiny.
it's very
It
small.
just gives you a name, that's,
Yeah, this just tells you the plants.
okay.
Yeah, and this is available online. I think Mike had sent it, and I can send you another. I was telling Penny, you can go in online and zoom it, so it's bigger. You can kind of see. It's very small and hard to read, but I mean,
can you resend that to me too?
sure. Yeah,
I shall just resend it to everybody,
All right.
yeah.
because I don't think I have the access to it online.
So,
I've got the
I mean, if you
copy.
feel strongly that you should go ahead with it, fine, but otherwise I would suggest, let's do it at next meeting.
I'm happy to wait till next meeting.
Okay?
I don't have a problem with that. I think just, yeah. I think the goal is let's not find a new place for a grove. Let's work with this plan here. So, yeah. As we had talked a little bit, remember, about putting it over by the hillside where they mow now, but too small. And then we talked a little bit about putting something close to the pavilion, but too small of an area. So this enables us to,
Sounds good.
yeah, okay.
Okay.
And then, so next thing is just any other business?
I guess I still have the question about, I talked with Patty about, if things are happening around, the park being kind of closed to people because of the construction this summer. And I don't know, is that the case, that the park would be inaccessible?
We talked about that once before, and I think the thought that the work area, it would be shifting as it starts
Yeah.
away from the parking lot and moves back towards the parking lot. And as the work area shifts, then people would be allowed into where the work area was not occurring.
Yeah, because I was just,
I don't think we're not talking about closing the whole park for the whole
Okay.
summer.
okay. All right.
And there will be some partial closures.
Yeah, I think a question you guys might want to consider is, Mike had previously talked about starting with the big things, which is the excavation and the trees, and then kind of working down towards the smaller stuff. And we'll see when the RFP goes out, but to your concern, Patty and Penny, about establishing these plantings. And a lot of times in my experience, it's the contractor's responsible for a certain amount of time and then his responsibility ends. And you want to make sure we're coordinated with, when their responsibility ends, that, you guys know that your responsibility begins. And that's usually in the contractor, how long they're responsible for watering and stuff like that. But, just wanted to mention it, that, as they pull off, the landscaping pulls away, they'll get into more of the hardscaping, which is the parking lot. And then, how can you guys coordinate to get into that site and get to where you need to be and all that sort of thing, but just.
The
Structure.
Rail
sequence,
trail is easy. I mean, you can bring a cart over from the other side of the rail trail.
I just mentioned it, just not to say it's an obstacle, an insurmountable obstacle or anything like that. I'm not trying to say that. I'm just saying those types of coordinations usually transfer from the contractor to the owner, which will be you guys, and then just to let you know that's normally how it goes, to just bear those dates in mind. There should be in the contract, which I don't have anything to do with, but in my experience, they normally are.
Well, I do have a lot of questions about the sequencing. And the other thing is on the, I just noticed after you left, there's a place in there for where we put compost and that, none of that's been constructed.
Well, I mean, those are, so that, the other thing too is when this was
And a
designed,
shed.
it's got like wishes. Remember, we created a wish
Well,
list for
that's
Mike,
that's
and
what I'm
these are all
saying.
the wishes, but I don't think,
We're not gonna have enough money to
Right,
do the
exactly.
basic.
But my point is, are those going on the RFP?
No,
No.
because we don't have
Well,
enough
that-
money for even that.
No, I
That's what I'm
think-
saying. We don't see what's actually going out. I mean, I have no idea.
I
what's
think
actually
what,
going
The
out
RFP,
What
that people are actually bidding on and going to be built.
Well,
What's
we
actually-
can,
the RFPs get posted to the town website. So you'll,
Can see them.
once they get posted, you'll have access to them. I'm not sure which page, I think town projects or something like that. It will be, the RFPs have their own, landing space. Penny, on the town website.
Okay,
I know they're supposed to, I'm not involved with it. I don't post in the town website. Elisa handles that, but I do know that RFPs do get
yeah,
posted for public.
Yeah.
so I can ask her if I have trouble finding
you
it,
don't, they're really easy to find. If you
Good.
just even Google.
because I am very curious,
Yeah. And
obviously.
they're there for several years, like you can go back and look at the last couple of years of them. I think what Penny's concern might be, I think, is that if Ed puts in a request for composting bins, tool shed, all the different components, but I think what he's focused on is the trees, the shrubs, and the kind of infrastructure.
Yeah, I'm just not
Not the
sure.
little,
we'll be lucky to get that done.
right, yeah, the tables, the benches.
Yeah, it's always
That's
the
all.
devils in the details, so I just don't know what's included and what's because all we've ever seen is that initial drawing, that's it. And so I don't know what's
I don't.
happened since then, so that's what I'm saying.
I
So,
don't either.
okay,
Well,
that's
when,
fine.
when they go out, we look for them, okay?
Okay,
Yeah,
All right.
so, right,
No other business?
I think.
Move to
No,
adjourn?
I mean, we did, yeah.
One little
Oh,
quick thing.
okay.
And I'll probably get him in touch with you, Patty, but, Dave Adams, the person that's working on the non-native invasive species applications,
Oh, yeah,
or to chemically applicate some of that. He is, like I told you last meeting, he's putting the poison ivy and some of that at Lakeside Park. And then we put the permits into DES this last week.
oh.
So
be
those are
interesting
going,
to see
but
what they say.
as we get those permits back, I'll get him in contact with you so you guys can work together on some of the non-native species stuff he'll do at Lakeside Park, but that is in the permits.
Yeah, that sounds good. There's
And
act-
I would urge you just to keep your small subcommittee, so you don't have to worry about quorums or meetings.
This is
Just,
it.
just,
We only have two of us.
just do it, right, exactly.
Just Penny and I.
Yeah, no, we're doing it as a
Yeah.
town. It's not gonna be the
Yeah.
park committee giving us a
Right.
blessing or not, but I want him to work with you guys so we know
Sure.
what's going on.
oh, I keep thinking of things. As you all, well, you may know what's happening with this, but the old beds, the old garden beds that we have, I personally don't care if they get moved around or whatever, but if we knew they were gonna get removed because of just whether it's construction happening or the wires coming down or I don't know what. But if they're going to need to be moved, get the plants out of there because we can save them and reuse them somewhere.
Yeah, I'll have you guys work with the contractors when they're getting ready to go.
Okay.
I'll get 'em-
Because the more warning we have, the better.
Yeah.
I do have vacations planned in the
I
spring.
did talk to Mike about the DOT beds, because he's been working with the engineering group on the parking lot part. He said that he does not think that they're gonna have to be moved. There might be a couple at the very end, closer to the pavilion,
Mhm.
maybe two of them that might have to be moved, but otherwise that they probably can stay there.
Well, the drawing I saw for the new parking lot, though, included a whole row of trees.
Yeah, but
So-
Penny, that was Mike, that
Well,
was
that's
the
fine.
MERS.
That's
That
all
was
I've
Paul,
ever seen.
that was
But
Paul's.
that's all I've
Paul's
ever seen, so I
initial
don't know what the current
changes.
RFP includes.
Yeah, I think it's probably just at best, grading and asphalt on that parking lot.
For the
and
most
that
part, there
side.
will be some plantings around it, cause I did talk to Mike about that, and he recommended that we put those trees not in the parking lot RFP, but in the trail and other plantings, so there's someone that knows what they're doing. Cause the paving people will just
Right.
hire someone to do it.
Right.
He goes, you see projects all over the valley that the contractors hire somebody to plant trees and a year later the trees are dead.
Right.
Right, and that's
He
part of
recommended
what
we
I
get
don't want to
somebody that
happen.
really
Yeah.
knows what they're doing.
Yeah,
So the
exactly.
landscaper that does the trail and the plants and all that will do the plantings around the
Yeah.
parking lot.
So there's
The
basically,
parking lot people will come in and pay for
there's
it.
basically two
Projects.
RFPs. One is that is the landscaping and asphalt, and does that even include the trails? I don't know. And the other is the entire rest of the project, the plants and the trail, the rest of
The
the.
plants and the trail, I think, will be the same people. I think a
Okay.
landscaper
Yeah.
could do the trail system. It's
Yeah.
really gonna be the parking lot and the rest of the park.
Yeah, that makes
Okay, good.
sense. That makes sense.
But anyway, if we know kind of what's happening there.
Yep.
Plant wise, tree wise, and where they're going, then we can move things out of the way and save them because they'll come in handy. We're gonna have a lot of places that
You
need
guys
plants.
know, and you'll get the final map that's approved and all before any shovels go in the ground.
Okay.
And I imagine too, once the landscaping company has been awarded the contract, then that we could communicate with them as well. So, yeah. Yeah, just to kind of stay ahead of things.
It's all very exciting.
Yeah, no, but when it happens, it's gonna happen fast.
That's my concern, because the other thing is ordering stuff. I assume whoever's handling the plants realizes this, but for some reason, there's an absolute nutso thing going on around purchasing plants, and
That's-
they'll
That's
be
their
out.
problem.
No, it's not. It's our problem too,
Well,
because
we
they
don't,
will be out of stuff.
we hiring them to do it. We're not doing it.
Yeah, but I'm saying it will be our problem too if we can't get what we want.
Yeah, we'll figure something out. They'll figure
They'll
something.
figure something. I mean, they may suggest some alternatives
Yeah,
that fit,
So we
that,
may well be
but,
facing some alternatives.
and that's fine.
Yeah.
But again, they'll discuss that with us. We won't be the ones, making those orders or changes.
yeah, we'll figure out what we can pay for, what we can do in the grant. You know, the grant's the only thing that gives us the deadline, so we wanna pay for as much as we can with the grant, but that's the time deadline.
Yeah.
If it doesn't fit within that,
But that's
we
what I'm
can do it
saying,
next
if we can, as soon as we can order and do order, we will have a better chance, because by May, they'll be out of a lot of
yeah,
stuff.
we'll get that RFP out, and that'll be out 3 to 4 weeks maybe, and then it'll be awarded and it's okay, go. You need to
Good.
be done by August.
Right.
So
And
we can get
whoever,
paperwork done.
the landscapers will, if they purchase the material, then they guarantee the material. So if we purchase things ourselves, we don't have the luxury of that.
Yeah, we
Um,
won't be purchasing
right,
most of it.
yeah.
It'll be done on them and they'll figure it out. And if they can't get something, they'll come to us and
Yeah.
ask for a change order
Yeah.
to do it. That's
Change
how
orders,
projects work.
oof, money, right? Yeah.
Not when they change.
Oh, good, good.
It's usually not. It may be something more expensive and the change order may be, we have to get this instead of this and this is the price
Yeah.
difference. But if we do change orders, even if it's cheaper, sometimes it costs more because now they're having to change what they're doing.
So, okay, are there any things that we can be doing to help with the process? I mean, differently
I don't
or?
think so right
Okay.
now. Like I said, I'll get people involved. You know, when it's time, but it's really, you know, a couple emails and a phone call to the engineers every week saying where we at, what are we
Yeah.
doing? Do I need to coordinate a meeting for you so we can get some information?
Yeah.
And we should be signing that permit soon.
Great.
They're not guaranteeing, but they're saying that they're seeing turnarounds in 30 days for stormwater or shoreline permits. So hopefully all the due diligence they're doing is dotting all the i's and crossing the t's so we don't get it returned by DES.
Good.
And then, like I said, we'll be putting the RFPs out as soon as possible. As soon as I have the scope of work done, I'll probably call Mike and get in and make sure he says, yeah, that looks good, and we'll
Yeah.
go. It'll be Mike and Jim. This is the parking lot one. This is this one. Let's make sure everything you want.
Jim who?
Taylor.
Oh, okay.
Good. All right. Well, any other?
You're secretary next time and I'm
Yes.
chair? Okay.
So,
We'll do adjourn?
yeah, meeting adjourned at 4:21, 2. Yeah. All right.